On today's program, we'll be looking at the issue of motivation. Many, if not most diabetics, know what they need to do, but they find it so hard to actually do it, day in and day out. What they need is motivation. We'll be considering a couple of very powerful motivating factors. So powerful, in fact, that with them in your life and in your heart, diabetes will not stand a chance. From this point and throughout the month of November 2019, my publisher is having a special sale on an eBook version of my books, 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar and You Can Achieve Normal Blood Sugar. They're selling for $1.99 and $2.99 respectively, so here's a chance for some of you in nations other than the U.S. to get these books at a tremendous discount if you're able to download them. The sale ends on December 3rd, so don't wait too long. I'll put links in the description where you can click and go to some of the various websites that are offering these ebooks. Again, the books are 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar for $1.99, and You Can Achieve Normal Blood Sugar, which will sell for $2.99. Here's a comment. It says, as a recovering diabetic, I've adopted a low-carb ketogenic lifestyle. This has allowed me to keep my blood glucose and my A1C at a normal level, to lower my high blood pressure into a healthy range and keep my weight under control. My diabetic symptoms of blurry vision in one eye, foot numbness, and frequent urination are gone. Well, hallelujah for that. And those are classic symptoms of diabetes, of course. I don't have to continue giving myself insulin and other drugs. That's just absolutely wonderful. Again, this is not a diet. It is a lifestyle change. I feel healthy again. It would be idiotic to go back to my old lifestyle. Thanks, Dennis, excuse me. So, all kinds of diabetic symptoms are gone, feeling better than ever, blood glucose going down, everything working the right way. And they're saying, well, I would never go back. Yeah, and I think there is a big difference. You know, weight loss people that lose weight, dieters, and there are some professional dieters, they so often lose weight and then go right back to gaining weight and go right back to overeating and go right back to the high-calorie, high-carb foods. And then they get kind of nervous because they don't look good, they don't fit into the right dress or whatever, and then they lose some more and then they gain some more. But one thing is, if you're type 2 diabetic and you've had some of these symptoms and you've been good and scared, and let me emphasize that again, you've been good and scared, and I've been there, and I've been to the point where I have actually fainted, and I many times felt like fainting, and my blood sugar bouncing all over the place. Believe me, my friend, I was good and scared, and oh, what a motivator that becomes to you. And the reason some people who are diabetic or nearly so don't seem to find the motivation and they go back and forth all the time is they've never been good and scared. So for many of us, it was really the best thing that could happen when we started having some symptoms and got scared because it gave us the motivation. And then when we fixed it by the grace of God and we adopted a low-carb lifestyle, and everything stabilized and the symptoms went away, we were so elated. We were so euphoric. We were so excited compared to the scared time, and now we've got this excited, joyful time. It's like you couldn't convince us with a cannon up to our head to ever go back to a high-carb lifestyle. It just ain't going to happen, baby, because we've been there. We know what it'll do to us. And those kind of people typically never do go back. They stay with it. Now, I've been with it since 2000, and I started having my problems in 2001. It was really 2002 when I got a good handle on it. So since about 2002, I've been with it. I've never backslidden. There may have been an individual meal or two that I have eaten that was probably higher in carbs than it needed to be, but never even thought about going back. And many of you are that same way. So sometimes you can thank God for those scary times and even a few of those symptoms because it pushed you in the right direction. And then lo and behold, you get your diabetes under control and you even find some other health benefits as well. We've had some debate on the channel about are you still a diabetic if you go low carb and all your symptoms go away, your numbers go down? This person left a very short comment, but I thought it was pretty good. He said the doctor said to him, called him by his name, "You don't have diabetes anymore." What a thrill that must have been to this man, for a doctor to look at you who's already told you you do have diabetes and to say, you don't have it anymore. Now, I know there's going to be people who will carp and complain and criticize and shout and get red-faced about it. Oh, you still have it, you just have avoided it somehow, or you've dodged it a little bit, but you still have it. Well, call it what you like. But I call it beating diabetes. All right, here's another one who says, I think most people would tend to think that to be cured would mean that we're again like we were when we were 17 years old. Well, folks, it ain't like that in the real world. The best way to look at it is there's a time in life to feast and a time not to feast. When you're young, if you're fortunate enough not to have type 1 diabetes, it's okay to enjoy the fruits of youth. But as we age, if we want health, we have to restrict carbs and take responsibility for our own health as a mature adult should. Health is our greatest wealth. Your videos are inspirational and educational. You're a blessing to your viewers. Well, this person brings up a good point. And I've had some people, and I strongly suspect they're young people, who've mocked me for saying, look, you've been at this for 15 years, 17 years, and your blood sugar still goes up when you eat a potato. You silly guy, don't you know that you could really beat it and then it wouldn't go up at all? Well, that's easy for some 22-year-old to say, who may have had slight diabetes and then they just cut out some sugar and lost a little weight and now everything's fine and they can get away with eating some of these higher carb foods. But I'm not 22 years old and, I don't run as fast as I used to. I don't look as good as I used to and I never was that handsome, but I'm a little worse now. And my reflexes aren't as good. My speech isn't quite as fluent. I'm feeling my age. I mean, I'm feeling good. But I am no spring chicken, as they say. And so for some hot-headed 22-year-old vegan to shout at me and say, well, you're an idiot because you can't eat a potato and still keep your blood glucose low, but I can, you silly old guy. Well, when you get my age, you probably won't be able to either. So as you get older, you just are not going to have the metabolism. You're not going to have the pancreatic response. You're not going to have basically the blood glucose ability you had when you were 20. And that's true for all of us, but for some it's worse than others. But that's okay. You just grow up. Two good words for everybody. Grow up. As you get older, you adjust. I wear glasses. When I was a young boy, I didn't wear glasses, but I do now, and I don't gripe about it, and I don't want anybody judging me for wearing glasses. I just use them. With my glasses, I see fine, I get around, I go through life without a problem. But I have to wear them. And I don't do sprints anymore. I don't play touch football anymore. When you get to a certain age, you make changes, you adjust. And for somebody who's 65 years old to say, well, I'm going to do it just the way I did when I was 21, well, that's just goofy. There is such a thing as aging gracefully. I think it's kind of silly when old people try to dress like young people, try to talk like young people, and try to be young people. You're not young. Here's an alert for you old folks. You're old, and I'm old. And so I don't, try to get all goofy and act like a 21-year-old. I'm not a 21-year-old. And I don't eat like I did when I was 21. And that's fine. As you adjust and make those adjustments to each new season of your life, it goes well. And I live a good life. I live a happy life. I do more work than most 21-year-olds do. My hours are longer. I travel all over the world doing missions. I'm busy producing videos, I write articles, I record devotional messages. I do a lot, and I'm still going strong so far by the grace of God. But I'm not 21, so I have to make those adjustments. All right, here's another comment. Just diagnosed, they're talking about the video I did where it says you've just been diagnosed with diabetes, and it gives like 5 points to keep in mind. And this person says, I can't tell you how much this video helped me when I was first diagnosed. It was the first video I watched. My A1C was 9.8 on July 9th, and now, and I think this was written perhaps around September, so from July to September, it is now 5.3. I mean, that's just amazing. And we see these all the time. 9.8 to 5.3. He says, I took your advice on a low-carb diet. I started walking every day and joined a softball team. I've lost 36 pounds. I'm feeling great. Thanks for the inspiration. God bless. And I love the way he just kind of throws that in. He doesn't elaborate. He doesn't tell all that he did. He just says, I was 9.8, and in about 3 or 4 months, I'm now 5.3. Well, I mean, that in itself is phenomenal. That's worth shouting hallelujah. That's worth, bringing the news people to your living room and saying, hey, here's what happened to me. But it's happening all over the place, and we're getting comment after comment after comment from people like this. So, if you've just been diagnosed and you're watching this, there is hope for you, my friend. Here's another one, responding to the video I did where I say why I don't consider myself diabetic. And of course, what I said was, as long as I keep my numbers low and I don't have symptoms, keep my insulin low, my blood glucose low, no symptoms, I don't call myself a diabetic. He says, you're spot on. I've been through this myself, losing 140 pounds, using the Atkins plan, but everybody was telling me I was eating unhealthy, so I stupidly listened. Well, sometimes you just can't listen to what everybody says. So he's doing the low-carb diet. Everybody's saying, oh, that's unhealthy, that's going to kill you. He says, it took me 3 years at the typical American diet to gain all the weight back, 140 pounds, and more. I was now a type 2 diabetic again. Well, now I'm back on track, and part of it was getting confirmation of what I was doing through your videos and videos like it. I've stabilized my blood sugar. Keep up your contributions. They help. Well, I like what he said. He said part of my success was just getting confirmation of what I was doing. In other words, I was doing the low carb, and I needed somebody to say, yeah, it's good to do that. I needed to hear other voices because all of his friends and all the people he knew were telling him this is an unhealthy diet. And really, I see that as a part of, a big part of what this channel is all about is just giving you confirmation. Many of you know what to do already. And many of you watch 10 of my videos, you know what to do. But by watching the new videos as they come out and keep watching them, you get confirmation. And there's something powerful about simply something being said again and again. Did you ever notice that in some cases a commercial will come out and you will hear that commercial and then you'll hear it again and you'll hear it again and you'll hear it again, and they'll just play and replay that commercial. Or maybe they'll change it slightly, but it's basically the same commercial. When I was younger, there was a commercial for a toilet paper company, a toilet paper product. And they had a guy named Mr. Whipple who would squeeze. It was the Charmin toilet paper. And he was a grocery store clerk or a grocery store worker. And they would he would see people squeezing the Charmin. He would say, please don't squeeze it. And then he'd be squeezing that toilet paper. And, of course, the idea was it is so pleasant to touch and so soft that you can't help but squeeze it. Now, Mr. Whipple became a global superstar. He became recognized all over the world. And they made commercial after commercial after commercial with Mr. Whipple telling various people in various scenarios, don't squeeze the Charmin, and then he himself was doing it. I don't know how many they made. I would guess 40 or 50, if not more. Now, let me tell you something. Companies like the Charmin Toilet Paper Company, they're not stupid. They're not spending all that money on commercials because they think it's just fun to do that and they want to make a celebrity out of Mr. Whipple. They're doing it because they know the power of repetition. And you want to know something interesting? God knows that too. In the Bible, it says by 2 or 3 witnesses, every word shall be established. In other words, God says, if I want to say something and make it stick, I'll say it more than one time. It'll be several witnesses. So this idea, what we're talking about is this idea of confirmation, hearing the same thing. You see, a lot of type 2 diabetics, they don't have the motivation. They dabble in low carb, they dabble cutting out the sugar, and then they fall and they go back to it and so forth. And one of the ways you get that motivation is just hearing it, reading it, seeing it again and again. It's confirmed in your heart, confirmed in your mind. And after you see it again and again and again, you start to get it and it sticks with you. And so that's the power of watching videos like mine, and there's a lot of other guys saying very similar things, and Sarah Halberg, Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Sten Eckbert, I think his name is, Dr. Eric Berg, Eric Westman. There's a lot of guys saying pretty much the same thing. And I would encourage you to watch them, watch me, keep feeding your spirit, feeding your mind on this truth of just what the type 2 diabetic needs to do and why it's healthy to restrict carbs. And you'll find the motivation will magically appear. It'll just be there. One day, it'll be like, I want to do this. I like to do this. Nobody can talk me out of restricting carbs anymore, and you won't lack motivation.